Ketamine is a dissociative.
People do have difficult experiences, like, oh gosh, will I come back? Am I going to die?
And I was like, am I being brainwashed here? Women are biohackers by nature. We're Lauren and Katie.
We're taking a look at the wildest health hacks,
Wellness treatments,
and the most cutting-edge biotechnologies,
we're taking you inside.
and unlocking the secrets only women could.
This is BIOHACK-HERS. We're going on the biggest biohacking field trip yet.
Whoa.
Into the world of psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy.
How are you feeling?
Whoa.
We headed to Field Trip, the first licensed guided ketamine trip clinic in New York City, where I received a ketamine treatment to find out how transformative this experience can really be.
Ketamine historically has been used as an anesthetic.
A dissociative anesthetic that has psychedelic properties.
We're working to pioneer the field of using a psychedelic to supercharge the therapeutic process.
Ketamine and other psychedelics are emerging as promising treatments for depression, PTSD, and trauma.
You start off by doing this long intake form, and then they set you up with an amazing psychotherapist. But that's when you really go into the detail of here's what you could expect.
It might feel difficult to speak and to form words. It could sometimes feel like your extremities are feeling a little numb. Some people do have a nauseous reaction. You could feel like you're removing yourself from your body.
They just really want you to know anything that could possibly happen.
There's also the potential for very difficult emotions to come up.
People do have difficult experiences, like, oh gosh, will I come back? Am I going to die?
So Katie and I were going to do this experience together.
But I felt like there was just some uncertainty around it.
It might not be the right time.
Yeah.
So she decided not to do it. For me, this was an exciting thing, and had some things as of recently that has really affected my mental health. I wanted to work on fear as the deep-rooted thing in me that has been exceptionally heightened since having my children. I mean, I have my traumas that I definitely wanted to work on, so now was the time.
After she was approved for the treatment, she had an intake with me, her therapist, and there we did some rapport building and trying to get a sense of what she wants to work on.
When you don't feel like you have control,
It's not easy to do.
it's not easy to do.
And then we had Lauren do an introductory ketamine session without camera crew.
Field Trip had me do my first session without the cameras to see how my body reacted to the medicine.
We start with a low dose. You can almost think of it as a calibration session.
The calibration session that I had was 30 milligrams they gave me. Everyone reacts differently to ketamine. Myself, I was super sensitive. I totally went to another world the first session. I saw myself as this really healthy creature that inspired other people to be healthy. It was just very clear. I remember the music, everything was just enjoyable about it. I left there on cloud 9. For my second session, I was just really excited to dive back into that experience.
When Lauren arrived for her second ketamine treatment session, we brought her to one of our treatment rooms. And there she met with Emily, her nurse practitioner, to making sure that the experience would be physically safe for her.
It's okay? Okay.
Also during that session was an opportunity for them to discuss the appropriate dose.
You went really deep. It was a great experience. There's room to go deeper into the experience if you want to.
Yes, I want to go a little bit deeper.
We talked and decided to go almost twice as much for my second session. That was 50 milligrams, which was significantly different.
What can I expect with going almost double?
Chances are is that it will be deeper just based on the fact that you are here and
My
you're saying.
intentions are to go deeper.
Exactly.
Got it.
I did not feel scared or fearful. It was more of a nervousness, but yet I was ready to go in there.
All right, I'm ready for my trip. My field trip. My field trip.
We then got her settled and situated for her ketamine journey itself.
So this is where you'll be.
Lauren chose to do her second session on a mat. We had a weighted blanket to put over her.
And then had some time with me to set up her intention and to prepare her for her medicine session. Where do you want to go today? What would you like this experience to be like?
I wanted to work on fear, and I could get fearful of anything. I get fearful of being sick, dying, someone hurting my kids.
I'll imagine horrible things happening to them. Things like people throwing them off balconies and just unhealthy. And I'm ready to really let that go.
So my intentions going into this was to get rid of some of this fear that was now consuming my life.
So can we start by taking some deep breaths?
Yes.
The goal of this treatment is just to go inward. is for folks to be able to look into themselves and not look outside and use outside stimuli. We give them headphones so that they have music, and we have a microphone so that we can talk to them if something comes up.
Once she was comfortable, Emily then administered her ketamine dose intramuscularly.
So I really went in just expecting the same positive, kind of like fun, playful experience that I had the first time.
Don't feel anything yet, just a lot of nerves.
And that was definitely not the case.
I feel like I'm dropping in. Everything feels heavy.
You're safe.
That stage of the experience is really an inward journey.
There's not a distinct feeling of this is now working, kind of just happens, like how you fall asleep. I remember just saying, wow.
Wow.
That's all I could say. I remember hearing his voice a few times.
Let your mind follow the music.
And then the music, and I was like, am I being brainwashed here?
That was crazy.
I was like falling back into like different scenarios of like darkness.
When people are ready to see difficult emotions and allow themselves to work through it, that could be really, really beneficial.
I had an experience where I connected back to the delivery of my twins. I had a really traumatic delivery. When you're getting an emergency C-section, they strap your arms down on the side of the table and they pump you full of so much drugs that you're just shaking like a leaf. And all I could see at the side was my babies, and when I saw Sienna, she just looked really bad. So the emergency took her off to the NICU, and then I just sat there waiting for the NICU doctor to come back and tell me if my baby girl was gonna be okay. Reliving that trauma, that's like the most hard. Long story short, she's fine, she's healthy, all of her tests came back and it was fine, but I held on to that trauma very deeply. The ketamine experience highlighted that for me.
With ketamine, we have this really amazing tool that could tap into deep emotions, deep thoughts. That sometimes takes way more time in traditional psychotherapy.
And then from there, I relived my seizure.
Well, my body's like kind of shaking.
I was doing too much, super dehydrated. At 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I had a grand mal seizure. I almost bit my tongue off, peed the bed. It was definitely the most vulnerable moment. From there, that spiraled out to, do I have a brain tumor? And am I gonna have a seizure being out in the water with my kids? It's just all those like deepest fears. I relived it physically.
Physically, she had what looked like shivers.
My body started trembling. I remember thinking, am I having a seizure right now?
Is there anything I can do to make you feel safer?
I don't know why I feel so cold.
There was this real physical sensation of going through a trauma, which makes a lot of sense because trauma is sometimes stored in our bodies.
I remember thinking, is ketamine the same as my seizure? Is my brain gonna be the same after this? Kind of reliving those fears that I had when I had that initial seizure.
I had the same feeling, this jitters of like, am I gonna die?
You are safe.
I was able to like bring in my breathwork techniques to just like help me through it.
It's okay.
Probably help me go deeper and be more open to the process as opposed to resisting.
This isn't just a passive treatment experience where you receive the ketamine and that's it. It's really this active experiential process.
It's a treatment. It's not a day at the spa.
A really profound experience was when I was shaking. I remember telling my body, just stop.
Just relax.
And just like immediately, it just stopped shaking, which I cannot do when I'm actually in a trauma.
She was able to make that connection that there is this body thing that's happening, this physical thing that's happening that's related to what she experienced. Making that connection and being able to see that, oh wow, this is something that I could go through.
It's okay, you're okay.
Reliving the experience and shaking like I did was helping me process it and leave my body. I remember being like, out.
Let it go.
Like I'm not gonna store this in my body anymore. And I really do energetically feel like it has left me, and I feel so much lighter from it.
Where are you now?
I feel like I'm back, but Wow.
As Lauren emerged from her ketamine experience, David was right there to start to interpret what its significance might be.
Oh my God, it's so bright in here.
When I first came out of the ketamine, I mean, you feel very groggy. You feel like your mind's over here and your body's over here. It's kind of like hard to talk.
Oh, man.
Welcome back.
Wow. I didn't think I was ever gonna come back.
It felt like an eternity, like I lived a whole nother life.
That was amazing, but a lot of work.
Just the emotional toll of having a really deep experience. I mean, it could be draining.
When I took off the eye shades and I started crying, remembering especially my delivery with the twins, which was really hard for me, and then being so happy to be alive and that it was over, and already seeing the beauty in what just happened.
What are you feeling?
When I did have these traumas, yes, I had that trauma, I had that seizure, right? But what I made it into afterwards and how it affected my life moving forward and my thoughts was unnecessary, because I'm okay, and my son's okay, and my baby girl's okay, we're all okay. And I went through that mental car wash that I needed to do, and it hit the reset button for me, and this feeling that I have right now is the best.
Do you want to sit up a little bit?
I'm gonna try. Yeah.
If you've been dealing with depression or anxiety or trauma for a long time, that can become part of your identity, that you can't even separate yourself from that.
We are attached to our stories, and being able to detach from that could be really beneficial, because then, can I change the way that I see this? Can I make different meaning of this? Can I change the relationship to how this is for me?
Sometimes you gotta work through the shit to get through the other side. Not sometimes, always. You gotta work through that stuff that's affecting you, that's dark, in order to feel good on the other side. It takes work.
It's really changed a lot of lives with a whole host of different mental health diagnoses that I've seen people come in and go through the protocol and really report profound change.
Some individuals can feel this sense of weightlessness, almost as though they're floating and this weight has been taken off of their shoulders or off of their psyche.
It's not just the 45 minutes. It feels more like a trip that you took for 2 weeks and that you came back and you're a different person now.